a small. This trip, I believe, is going to be absolutely phenomenal just because of all the hoops we've had to go through to get to where we are now because of COVID. And not only because of COVID, but our travel agent, someone I've used for almost 30 years now in Philadelphia, she has done all my major traveling arrangements all my time, all the time. But at any rate, with travel agencies kind of getting rid of a lot of their employees over the past 10 years, and then with the COVID, her major company's gotten quite a bit smaller. She does mostly overseas things now, tours, this kind of stuff. So we were dealing with that. The gal that I've been using the last couple of years at that company is no longer there. They had to let her go. But interestingly enough, her dad has got cancer down in Tennessee, in Nashville. So she's been going down there doing chemo. So we've had to do it kind of three ways. We go from me to Lilo, then to Sharon up in Philadelphia, and then from Sharon back to Lilo, and then over to us back here. And it's just been crazy. But Lilo promised she'd have all the information to me before our 4 o'clock meeting. Connie just printed it all out. It's all done. Greece is done. Israel is done. And we had guessed the price of Greece to be $2,500. It's less. We had told you $5,300 for Israel. It's less. Don't get too excited. It's like a cup of coffee less. But it's less. It's not more. It's not more. So it's like, yes, okay, thank you, Leo. This is good. I absolutely trust this woman with travel arrangements. I have used her, like I said, for years. When we have had issues where there's been a bag missing, a flight canceled, and we had like 60, 70 some people at the Atlanta airport, and we missed our flight because we got to Atlanta late through no fault of ourselves, and I had 70 people like, make one phone call, and we were on a flight within 2 hours to Israel, and it's like, it's worth it when you're doing groups not to book by yourself. And that's the huge advantage we have. So I've got today, this is going to be a lot of information for y'all. This is going to be all the legality stuff, but the stuff that is extremely important. So that's what we're going to be doing today. First off, the prices. Israel is $51.73. So $127 less than we thought. $51.73, that's based on double occupancy. That means 2 people in a room. If you're going by yourself, then what we will do is we will room together. A couple women together, a couple men together, we'll room together that way. What we normally do is we rotate the roommates, unless you say, I want to room with this person, but I'm here to tell you, been doing this for a long time, and even if it's really close, you're really close with your friend, if you want to maintain that closeness when you come home, I would encourage you to rotate. You get to meet somebody else, and it's only for a couple of nights here, a couple of nights there, but when we go from location to location, we'll usually rotate the roommates, so you're not with each other that much, but it just gives you a freshness, and you don't have to be worrying about rubbing on each other a little bit sometimes. So I think it's a good way to go. So that price is based on double occupancy. If you do want to say, no, I want a single room, it's $1,400 more. So you're going to have to really want that single room if you want it, but that's the cost. So make sure we mention that. Some of the things we're going to cover today, we're going to cover the insurance today and give you a contact number. I'll give you all the information. We're going to hand this out. We have the registration forms. You got to have one of these. If you have not ordered your passport, now you need to order your passport. You've got to get the passport ordered because they cannot book the flight without your passport. So, okay, that's all you got. That's all you can do. Just order it, and we're good to go. So make sure you order your passport. We're going to hand out registration forms today. We're going to hand out the information on the insurance today. We are going to go through the terms and conditions. This is one of those things, if you have questions, start asking them at this meeting. This is the important meeting of the whole time. The rest of the meetings, as you know, we're trying to give you insight on what you're going to see. This is stuff that is extremely important. So that's what we're going to be covering today. If we get done, I don't think we will. If we get done early, then we're going to go ahead with the next day on the tour, but I don't think we'll get, I think we'll just barely finish this. So, if we could, we're going to, I'm sorry? I didn't hear you, Carolyn. Oh, I didn't give the grease price? I'm sorry. The grease price is $24.72. So $24.72 is grease. As I mentioned before, we changed the grease itinerary. I'm going to be going through that as well today, what these prices include in Israel and in Greece. So we've got a lot to cover today. Maybe we'll do that first and we'll go from there. So we'll wait a second, sweetie, okay? Let's cover that first off. So the Israel portion, 5173 Israel. Here's what we have. It says, I'm just going to be reading some stuff to you and then we'll be talking after that. The price of $51.73 per person is based on double occupancy. The Greece extension of $24.72 per person is based on double occupancy. The Israel tour price is based on a minimum of 26 passengers on the bus. So we need to have 26 of us. If we have 25, it might go up another $20. That type of thing. This is based on that amount. As of right now, we are over that, but things happen. But just so you're aware, if we all settle around 25, it might bump up a little bit. It's based on 26. That's how they divide it up to pay for, well, you'll see what we're going to be included. For Greece, it's based on 20 people. So that Greece's price is based if we have 20 people going to Greece. We'll find out as that deposit date comes closer. We'll know how many people are going to Greece for sure there. The single supplement is an additional $1,400 for Israel. Any increase in airfare or ground cost due to inflation, currency exchange, fuel surcharge, VAT tax, if tour falls under specific number, that's if we go down below 26 or 20, devaluation will be prorated and passed on to tour members. Now, we've been doing this, man, my first tour was somewhere in the early 90s. I've never had any of that happen. They put that on there as a disclaimer, but it's got to be there. The way life is now, who knows? But we've never had that happen ever. Please note that COVID protocols may change and additional testing required, which are not included. Payment, here we go. A deposit of the $2,000 per person is due by December 20th. Now, we made ours earlier because we don't want to wait till the 20th. Someone says, well, I came in 3 days late. Can we go? No. So we've got that. Space is limited. Second payment of $2,000 is due by February 1st for Israel. And I believe we made ours February 1st. That's all right. Oh, so we can't be late on this next one. Okay. Final payment by April 1st, 2022. Checks only, please. Only checks. They are also your receipt. Now, I know we had some people, one person paid from Europe. They're in Europe now and they paid through PayPal. I believe, Carolyn, you paid through PayPal? Yeah. Don't do that anymore. Yeah, don't do that anymore. We just found that out. Don and I were talking. We didn't even think of that. It's not a big deal. It's like $60. Don't worry about it. We're eating that. But don't pay through PayPal. Pay by check. Always pay by check. Oh, someone's coming in. Oh, that's Dave and Nathan. So as we mentioned, that's what we want to make certain that you pay by check. That's going to be extremely important. Then it goes on. It says cancellation insurance, and that's why this one. Hi, Nadine. Come on in. You came into the most important meeting of the year, young lady. We've got all the stuff. So cancellation insurance. We're going to cover that in just a minute. In a minute, Connie will be handing these out to y'all. This is important, and it's got to be done within a certain amount of time from when you make your down payment. So it's got to be made soon if you're going to get it. So here's cancellation insurance, highly recommended, as there are cancellation penalties that will apply. A group insurance policy is available with Allianz for a discounted rate. Otherwise, contact Journeys for individual policies available with Allianz or TravelX. So we've got everything here on this page right here. So we're going to hand these out, go through this, and you get all your information here on that. Cancellation penalties. Deposit is refundable less $1,000 per person penalty. That's what we had talked about. Within 90 to 46 days, so 3 months out, going to, it's a month and a half, so 3 months to a month and a half out, it's a $1,500 per person penalty. And if you get 45 days or less and you say, I just decide I'm not going to go, the total tour is non-refundable. So it's not a matter of, I don't think we're going to go. Well, that's fine, but the money's gone. It's already been spent. All non-refundable airfare and overseas operation cancellation fees will be added to the above. All cancellations must be submitted in writing and will take effect upon the date of receipt by Journeys Unlimited. The above penalties are per person. So I'm just putting this out here before we hand this stuff out, and then we'll talk more about it. I just want to make sure you get it. And that's where we are. Okay, so we've got all that. Now, what does, we got the new prices also, Nadine, so you got this. And Carolyn, were you on, Carolyn, when we gave the new prices? Were you on when we gave the new prices? Okay. So Nadine, I'll say the same thing that I told the group here. We got Israel and Greece verified, confirmed, and both of them were less than I told you they were. So they got very excited when I said that, and then I just said like a cup of coffee less. It's not a lot less, but it's not more, it's less. The Israel price is $5,173. We had said 5,300, so it came in a little bit under. The Greek extension, we said figure 2,500, it's 2,472. Now, what does this include? These are things outside of the tour, of course. It includes the round-trip airfare from Albuquerque on American Airlines as we leave in a group. We get a group rate, so don't come back and say, well, I'm going to fly Delta and get some points. Well, good luck with that. It's going to cost you more. But this is a group rate. It includes the transfers between the airport hotels and transportation throughout the tour. So they'll pick us up at the airport, take us to our hotels, and transfer us throughout the tour. It includes all the hotels and the hotel taxes. It's the 9-day of actual touring of Israel with guide and whisper audio headsets for easier listening throughout the tour. It includes one free day in Jerusalem, on the Mediterranean Sea. It includes breakfast and dinner daily. Now, it's funny, when I've had people from other countries join us, from Europe, sometimes they've joined us, and we tell them this, and they go, well, yeah. Americans see that and go, what about lunch? We're one of the only countries I'm aware of that we have 3 major meals every day, and most people don't. They have morning and evening. That's what they do. So when they're doing this, they're assuming, okay, this is good. They know that we're Americans, and we've built in some lunches when possible, but we're out and on the road. So we don't have places where we can stop for lunch oftentimes. So we built in 4 lunches. What I do, I mentioned before, at breakfast a lot of times I'll take a couple pieces of a couple of their rolls. Their bread there is fantastic. I'll take a couple rolls, some awesome cheese, maybe some meats, throw it in a little baggy thing, put it in my pocket. I'm good to go. Nice warm cheese sandwich by lunch. It's wonderful. But it works. Yeah, it does work. But it's up to you. But there will be many days we won't be eating lunch. So it's just a change in the way we look at life. So it includes breakfast and dinner. There are 4 lunches involved. It says on here the falafel lunch. That's that first tour day we talked about, the Druze village. Also the fish lunch by the Sea of Galilee. When we go to Bethlehem, we're going to Palestine. We're leaving Israel, going to Palestine. And there we will be having a lunch in Bethlehem. We are going to be treated like royalty. And I'm not exaggerating on that. Listen, you've been to Bethlehem. Nice and loud, I'll repeat what you say, but how were we treated? Extremely well. Unbelievably, it's almost an embarrassment. It's like, okay, I get it. You're glad we're here. But they really treat you well. So Bethlehem is, the city itself is dusty, kind of dirty, kind of rough looking. And the people are unbelievably fantastic. Unbelievably fantastic. Yes, ma'am.
Just with my experience with the Middle East,
Isn't it the truth? Michelle just said, Michelle lived in the Middle East for a number of years. You were married with a Muslim man, right? Raised your kids. So she's very familiar with the Middle East culture and everything. She says that's just standard rule. So we want to be careful that we don't go in with preconceived opinions and ideas. And you're going to find many, many. Now, there are going to be some radical Muslims you are going to see. I promise you that. But it's nothing to be like, oh, they feel they've been dealt a short end of a stick and they're going to let you know about it. But overall, the last couple of times we've had Muslim bus drivers with our Jewish tour guide. They hang out together, they eat lunch together. You're going to eat lunch with Muslim people and you're going to find out you have Muslim friends. Connie, I have a great Muslim friend with Ahmed in Jordan. He wants us to go over there on vacation with him, invites us to stay in their home, and he'd take us on a tour all through Jordan on his dime. I mean, it's like, they're unbelievably nice. So don't go over there freaked out. Forget about the media, everything you've heard about. These are people that are just sweet people. Sweet people. So, and then when we when we go to the Dead Sea, we're going to be in Jerusalem. We're going to run down to the Dead Sea. That's going to be a long day, a hot day, and one of your favorite days. We'll go to Masada. We're going to go to En-Gedi. You're going to get a chance to float in the Dead Sea, which even if you say, well, I don't do swimsuits, well, you better get over it. By then, you won't feel that way. Bring your swimsuit anyway. You will change your mind because the Dead Sea is an unbelievable phenomenon. If you've ever been at the Great Salt Lake Sea and floated on that, this is way more dense. Way more dense. This is crazy dense. And that's where you just go in like 4 feet of water, 5 feet of water, kick your feet up, take a newspaper or a book and just sit and just like a bobber. You're just floating in there. It's the coolest thing in the world. And you need to do it. You need to do it. So we're going to strongly encourage you. Bring a swimsuit. Like I said, by then we're going to know each other so well that my extra 20 pounds on my stomach, I don't care anymore. I'm just glad I'm there. And that'll happen. So just bring your swimsuit, have fun. So when we're at the Dead Sea that day, we are going to have a lunch there as well. The lunch is okay. We've been spoiled up to this point a lot. We've been really spoiled with food. This food's okay. It's to me, it's my least favorite. The last 2 trips. It depends which hotel we get into for their lunch, and it just depends on their availability for us coming into a tour group. So this is the day that's long, it's hot, and but we still get a lunch, and it's lots of food, and it's okay, but it's just, you get so spoiled that if it's not 5-star food, you go, hey, what's the deal? But it's like 4-star, it's fine. So those lunches are included. All the entrance fees are included. All the entrance fees are included. So everything we go to is covered. All gratuities. Now this is important, guys. All gratuities are included. Every hotel we go at, the front desk gets a substantial tip. Every hotel we go into, the chambermaids, the ones that come to our rooms, they get a major tip. When we get off the bus, you don't touch the suitcase from the time you leave Albuquerque, except one time at the Tel Aviv airport to make sure that's yours. You bring it through security, and then you don't touch them anymore in Israel. And notice I said in Israel. In Israel. And with that, it's they all get tipped. That's all included. All the eating places down in the kitchen when we eat for breakfast and for dinners, the waitresses, waiters, they all get tipped, as well as the kitchen mate or the head restaurant person gets tipped. The bus driver gets tipped quite well. The tour guide gets tipped thousands of dollars. That's all included. So I'll take care of all the tipping. I tip everybody. You'll see me doing that. I'll try to do as discreetly as possible. We have little envelopes made up, and I discreetly get them every place we go. You're going to see me running around talking to people a lot at hotels, tour guides, bus drivers. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking care to make sure everything is done right, and then we tip accordingly. Well, not accordingly. We tip set price, but all that's included, been built into your price. So that's all set. The escort at the airport, as well as the 2 PCR tests now that are currently required in Israel on arrival and departure, that's all included. This is a big one, medical coverage while you're in Israel. If you are on Medicare, if you are on Blue Cross Blue Shield, Presbyterian, all of that, none of your insurance works in Israel. So when we go to Israel, you have no insurance. And that's an interesting thought, is it not? So what this tour company has done is they said, we're going to give everybody an insurance policy and build it into the price. That's into the price. So you're all covered. And I mean covered 100%. I've had people with gallbladder attacks be in the hospital in Jerusalem for 4 days, no cost. We had a lady that our last trip, she slipped and fell in Petra and cracked open her head quite nicely. By the time we got her back to Eilat, it was like 8 hours. And they did an x-ray on her skull and found out that she had skull fractures all over her head. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she says, but Pastor, I was in a car accident 9 years ago. I had fractured skull. Do you think that they're seeing that? I said, I bet they are. Let's tell them. So we went back and said, we don't have the equipment to determine that. We're going to send you to Beersheba, which was normally about a 3-hour bus ride away. We made it in way less time in the middle of the night. So I went with her up to Beersheba about 2 in the morning. We got there. They did the extra checking on her with other types of equipment and all, and found out that, those are the old sutures, or the old fractures. You're looking good, and they let her go. All of that cost her nothing. So this insurance is just yours. We build it into the price. There it is. So it just covers sprained ankles. It covers whatever. Dehydration. It covers, I've had many people I've had to go to the ER room with for dehydration. And especially New Mexicans, because we feel that we're New Mexicans, we know heat, right? It's different. That's all I can tell you. I don't know what it is. It's different in the Middle East. Would you agree with that? Why is that? It's just,
but you go to anywhere near the coast, you got that 130.
yeah.
And
It's just different. It's a different kind of heat, and you dehydrate. You do. So the tour guide's going to be telling you, we're going to be telling you over and over and over again, drink more water, drink more water, drink more water. And we just have you drink, 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 and you'll notice you're going to drink a lot of water, and you're not going to urinate very much. It's so crazy. That tells you something right there. So just keep drinking. Just keep drinking. Drink, 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 drink. Not every trip, but many of the trips I've been in the emergency room for dehydration, where they just IV and get you back up and running. Again, no cost. So this insurance is a good insurance that you get. This does not include, we'll talk about that later. So that's for most everything. However, if you are over 75 years old, there's a surcharge on that insurance policy. So if that affects you, then, and those of you watching, then contact Connie, and she will tell you what to do at that point. So 75, if you're over 75, 76 and above, that is the cutoff charge for that insurance. There's airport taxes of all things, and that's all covered. And then you get personalized name badges. And a lanyard, too. But we ask you to wear those. It's not because we know everybody here, but we've got to remember Janice Murch doesn't know anybody. Carolyn, I would normally say, doesn't know anybody, but Carolyn knows like about 12 people in this church quite well now. So it won't affect her as much. But still, we wear them so that our guests that are with us, they will know who you are. And they see you, Tom. Oh, Tom. After about the 4th or 5th day, we'll kind of know everybody, but at the beginning, we ask you to wear those. Now, the Greek, the extension to Greek. We're going to not fly into Athens, like we said before. We're going to fly into Thessaloniki, they call it. We know it's Thessalonica, but today they call it Thessaloniki. So we're going to go from Tel Aviv to Thessaloniki. When we get there, they're going to take us to the hotel. These are things that are covered, the flight, the transfer to the hotel. We have 2 nights at the Electra Palace, if you want to look that up in Thessaloniki. The Electra Palace, Electra. The Electra Palace, it's a 5-star hotel with breakfast every day. Notice there's no dinner with this one. Breakfast every day. So in Greece, you're going to have a chance to get out and eat what you want to eat in the evenings. And so plan on that when you bring your money. Make sure you have money for the evening meals in Greece, but it's going to be well worth it because it's going to be like stinking fantastic. It also includes a full-day tour of Philippi. Thessalonica, the next day we get up, we go to Philippi. The next day, we have a full-day tour and transfer to Athens. It's about a 6-hour bus ride, but halfway through we break it up, and a place called, think of a meteor, M-E-T-E-O-R, and put an A on the end of it. So meteor, but it is a phenomenal site. It's a phenomenal site, and it's a place, we're taking this Ignatian way, the way that Paul would have went from Philippi to Thessalonica, and then to Berea, and when you see this, it's going to change the way you see the tours of Paul. Because this place has got these, it's rock. And I would like to say crystallized, but it's not. It just looks like crystallized rock. But there's these styles, these rock styles is what they're called. They just go up in the air. They're cool. And what happened is the Eastern Orthodox Church there in Greece, their monasteries, their monks, if you've taken church history, remember they would go and they would build these high perches, and then they'd sit up there for like 10 years and just have people bring them food and waist down, and they'd just be up there to get away from the world and all. Well, the monasteries did that, and they built these beautiful monasteries up in these tall, jagged areas. It's one of the heritage sites, U.S. heritage sites all around the world. So we're going to just go through there, stop for a while, and just take a look at this. But it's going to be interesting when we realize Paul came through here. We just say, well, he went from Thessalonica to Berea and Berea to Athens. When you see this, it's like, what? And it's just something to break up. We could have just said, we'll just drive 6 hours and sleep. Now we said, let's do that. Let's go ahead and stop in there and take a look at that. So you can look that up if you'd like. The meteor, I don't know how they pronounce it in Greece, but that's how you can remember it. And that gets us to Athens. We're going to have 3 nights in Athens. And again, look up Electra Palace. It must be a chain is all I can figure, unless this is a typo, but Electra Palace. So it's got to be a chain. It's a 5-star, again, with breakfast daily. We're going to have a full tour day the next day. We're going to have half a day in Athens, focused specifically for touring at the Mars Hill and at the Parthenon. Then we're going to hop on the bus and we're going to go all the way out to Corinth. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive to Corinth, and spend the rest of the day at the Corinthian ruins, which are really quite phenomenal. So we'll be at Corinth that day. We come back in that evening, late evening, and the next day is complete. You are free to do whatever you want to do in Athens. If you want to shop in Athens, shop in Athens. If you want to jump on a tour bus, and they have these little buses, you can just do a double-decker bus. It might cost you $10 or something. And they'll take you and they'll tell you and they'll take you all over Athens. You'll go down and you will see all of Athens. You put little headphones on, they talk to you in English. They give you the background of Athens, things to see in Athens. If you want to do that, by all means do that. If you want to shop, by all means do that. If you want to say, well, he's going to do nothing, well, then do nothing. Enjoy. It's our day of rest before we come home. So that will be the Greece portion of it. Then it also covers return transfer to the Athens airport and additional airfare costs with return from Athens on American Airlines. That's everything right there. So that's what we're getting. So that's what's included with the Greece portion. Now, the Israel portion we'll pick up in our next meeting, which is, we have one more meeting yet? So next week we'll pick up with Israel now, because now we've got it exactly. And we should have these for you as well next week. So we'll have everything nailed down. We have the prices nailed down. We've got that nailed down. So it's coming right along. Now, these are the registration forms. We're going to give you these. Thank you, Tom. And, oh, did I just do that? Thanks. Pass those out, please. Now, Clesson, you've been before. We still need a new one of these with you as well. They can't hear you. Go ahead. Okay. So it's just Lachey and Carolyn, but gals, everybody online, if you're watching this later as well, is if you are out of town, Connie's going to be emailing these forms to you, so you'll be able to just download that, and we need it back here again. Now with this form, we take a look at these forms. Notice what it says, your first name, middle name, last name, of course, and then you circle male, female on it, your date of birth, your current mailing address, your cell phone number, home phone number if you have one, email address. Do you see the next line down that's in that little skinny box across the middle of the page? Passport information, journeys, it doesn't say should, must have a copy of your passport for airline ticketing. So we've got to get those copies of the passports in soon. They come to our office and we send a package once we have everything to Journeys. If you don't have a passport, apply immediately. If you want to know, do I need a passport or not, look at your passport when it expires. And for that, you have to be 6 months from the day we get back into the future. So if we land on July 3rd, August, September, October, November, December, January, your passport has to be good January 3rd, 2023. That's a requirement for a passport in the Middle East. So January 3rd, 2023, you look at your passport, as long as it expires after January 3rd, 2023, you're good. If it expires before then, get another passport. We must have the passport 45 days prior to departure for medical insurance in Israel as well. Then you just write your passport number on this form, the passport date of expiration. Oh, she's saying January 15th. Okay, look at January 15th. That's fine. 2023. Tour information. This is kind of fun. So do this. Name you would like on your name badge. First and last name, or whatever name. If you go by, if you have a nickname and you want to use that, that's fine. But whatever name you put here, that's what's going to show up on your badge. Now the roommates. You put on there, well, that's a cool sound. Is that your clock, Carolyn? Yeah. Nice. Nice. It sounds like your clock. Like, I've heard that before. That's what that is. Sweet. Okay. So the roommates. I need you to assign me a roommate, a single, double, or triple room. That $1,400 additional charge is if you say I want a single room. And then your roommate name. So you see where it says roommate name, underneath there is where you put your roommate name. So Tom, you would put Lisa there, and Lisa, you would put Tom there. So what I'm saying is husbands and wives, still put your mates there because they don't know that. So put that on there. Emergency contact and name, phone number. I will be extending to Greece. That's a yes or a no. Either way, we got to put that on there. Air information. I will be traveling with the group from Albuquerque using group airspace. If you're leaving with us, you check that. I need assistance from another city. Check that. Now, if you need assistance from another city, obviously your price is going to be different depending what city, how they're going to do it. Carolyn, if you're coming out here and you're flying with us, well, then off we go. We say I'm going to meet you in Dallas, then you have to pay for that flight to Dallas. And then you jump on from there, but it would be less the group rate that we paid from Albuquerque to Dallas. So it'd be a little bit different, but there'd be a change. But that's something they will be in touch with you on. So once they see I need assistance, then they're going to call you up. Usually it's a lady named Sharon. She does this for years, and she's fantastic at it. And she'll get you to Israel. And typically, if it's at all possible, she'll get you with our group before we get to Israel. But if not, we'll meet you in Israel. So everyone understands how this works here? Pretty straightforward. We're going to need these turned into the office as soon as you can. As soon as you can. Yes, ma'am.
So even if we're not going to Greece, we still
Oh, yes. Yeah, by all means. Fill this out. And you just, on the Greece, you just put yes or no down there. Okay. Then, terms and conditions. Here we go. And please, if you have any questions, and again, Lachey and Carolyn, Connie's going to email these to you, and the rest of you can just pick them up as you're watching. If you're out of town, she'll email them to you. Otherwise, you can just pick them up right here. Now notice this is a continuation of the registration form. So if you look at this, you'll see that it just goes right on top of that. So that's just how it printed out off of a phone email. But at the top, I'll be saying to Greece, that was at the bottom of that first page. Air information, we've covered that. Signature, I have read and acknowledged the terms and conditions. I'm aware cancellation medical insurance is available. Let's take a look at the terms and conditions. Here we go. Tour price. The price is per person, double occupancy based on air hotel exchange rates at time of printing. Any increase in airfare and ground costs due to inflation, currency exchange, fuel surcharge, VAT. You've heard this before, right? That's the same thing. It's the same thing. Keep going. Inclusions. Meals, as note in the itinerary. All entrance fees, tips, taxes, service charges, transfers, medical insurance while in Israel for travelers under the age 75, additional cost for those 75 to 85, and portage of one suitcase. You get one suitcase per person. What's not included? Passport, porterage at U.S. airports, travel insurance, any expenses incurred resulting from injury or accident, loss of or damage to luggage, items of personal nature, coffee, tea, they're not going to pay for your coffee, I guess, tea, mineral water, food and beverages not on the regular menu of the included meals, telephone calls, items from hotel room, laundry, additional PCR testing which may be required for COVID protocols, accommodations, twin-bedded rooms with private bath. Now, in Israel, the rooms are all twin beds. And that's just, you're going to see that everywhere we go. So there'll be two twin beds with a little chest kind of thing, night table, between the two beds. And that is because of Old Testament law. When a woman has her menstrual cycle, and she is during that time, the Old Testament makes it real clear that you're not to sleep with her. So they push the beds apart. Then when that time of the month is gone, at home now, the wife would move that dresser and push the beds together. They do that throughout Israel, in the hotels as well. So you say, well, I'm not going to take no twin bed across the room for my wife. Then just move that and push them together. It's okay. But it's going to be twin beds. Be aware of that. So that's what's going on when you walk in. You go, man, nice place. Well, what's with twin beds? And don't go to the desk and ask for a king-size bed. Don't do that. Just, we're in Israel. We do as Israelis do. That's what we do. So that's what we got. Twin beds with private bath. Single rooms available at additional charge. That's $1,400. Any passenger unable to find a roommate may pay the single supplement. Triple rooms include a rollaway bed for the third person in the room. What we have done over the past 10 trips, and we'll probably do it this time as well, if we just have an odd number. That's no one's fault. We have 5 women and 4 men, let's say, that need to be sharing rooms. We either look at the triple, there's 3 women in a room as they rotate through, or if we don't have a triple available, then there's that single supplement. But what we do, it would only be one. It would be just one person because we can match the other ones up. So if it's a $1,400 single supplement, not because someone says, I want to be in a single room, and we've had that in the past, that's fine. Pay it if you got a single room. But I don't want to be in a single room. We just have the wrong numbers. We take that $1,400 and we divide it up among all of us. So we all throw in $50 or whatever it is. Instead of sticking one person with $1,400 for no fault of their own, I mean, it's just what it is. We all throw in $50 and it just is covered that way, whatever it turns out to be. So just so you're aware of that, how that works. So don't be freaking out on that part. Okay, then we go to sightseeing. As described, subject to local conditions at the time of the tour. Itinerary may be changed at the direction of the tour director or land operator, and that will happen from time to time. We always say, blessed are the flexible, they won't be easily broken. And this tour is full of flexibility. Sometimes we have to skip something. Other times we get to see something we hadn't planned. You never know. It's always kind of fun. Because, hey, we can do that now. Let's do it. Boom, we just do it. And if we start on time and we get through the restroom, the potty breaks on time, sometimes we have extra half hour. That extra half hour could give us a sweet experience towards the end of the day. Who knows what it might be. So we just kind of keep on moving, keep on moving. Now, one of the things I want to mention is the past couple of tours I've had Connie do this for me, and it is frustrating. I understand it is really frustrating, but I just want to make sure we all understand. I'll be mentioning this periodically through the tour. Is this last tour time, the guide asked you, I think it was, yeah. Usually I'll ask her to do it. The guide says, Connie, you need to help. Your crew is going a little too slow. Sometimes we have folks that, well, I'm not going to say names or anything. They weren't from here, but we had a couple that was just, they were in Israel. They were loving the fact they were Israel, and she was an artist, and they were taking pictures, and she motated a little bit slower than most people. So at every spot, we had to wait for them. Well, it's only 10 minutes, but if you have 10 spots, that's an hour and a half. And there were some things we didn't see because of that. So the tour guide pulls us apart and says, look, you've got to move out. Connie, I want you up there with me. Connie, I want you to keep people moving. Just keep people moving. Just keep them moving. Well, she took that to heart, and my wife used to be a federal investigator. And sometimes she'll slip into that federal investigator mode. I don't see it much. When I see her, I just see her as Connie, and around here I see her as Connie. But we had a woman come into the church here years ago, about 7 years ago, and she was invited here. And she came in and she sat towards the back. She was sitting there when the stage was over to our right here. And Connie was practicing for worship before the service. And she looked and she, is that Connie? And she was a nurse in one of the facilities. And I said, yeah, that's my wife. She goes to church here? She's strict. And I go, no, she's not strict. No, she's pretty strict. And she was like, and I go, I just don't see that side of her. I saw that side of her in Israel a couple of times, and the tour guide said, Connie, please pick them up. And I'd see her going, whoa, I started walking faster. And it was like, so if that happens, just realize it's nothing personal. We're not trying to be mean to you. Michelle, let's go. We're not doing that. We're just saying, we got to go. I used you. You're welcome. So this is what we do. But so don't hold on her. She's just doing what she's being told and asked to do. So we just all work on it together. We just keep it moving. We just keep it moving. We just keep it moving. So we've got that. Then we go to the sightseeing. Okay. Membership. The organizer of, this is just a disclaimer for them. The organizer has the right to refuse any applicant considered incompatible with the interests of the party as a whole and may require a physician medical clearance form. Applying for membership constitutes consent to abide by the discretion of the organizer and to defray any expenses resulting from dismissal from the tour. Tours based on a minimum number of participants. In case of less, there may be a price increase. So that's basically saying, I organized it. I can say, this isn't going to work. Or they can look at what they see and say, this isn't going to work. And they have the right to refuse service to anybody, I guess is how you could say that. That would usually be someone who is physically not able to keep up with the group. That's the point of that. Travel documents. Each passenger is responsible for securing a passport valid at least 6 months from the date of tour termination. You should do this pretty soon. Oh, immediately, that's better, yes. No visas or inoculation requirements for U.S. citizens in Israel. Non-U.S. citizens will need to check with the consulate for documentation required. Extension to other countries may require a visa. Travelers should check with all their physicians prior to travel overseas. Baggage. 1 bag per person is allowed to be checked with total dimension not to exceed 62 linear inches. So you just take a tape measure and wrap it around your bag, and it shouldn't go more than 62 inches. Maximum weight, 50 pounds. A carry-on bag of 45 linear inches is allowed, but must fit under the seat. Space on the buses limit all travelers to 1 checked and 1 carry-on bag. You will be advised of any additional restrictions that may apply. Excess baggage charges from tour operator and/or airlines may apply. Cancellation, refunds, and booking. Full refund, less $1,000 penalty, will be made up to 90 days prior to departure. 90 to 46 days prior to departure, $1,500 penalty per person. 45 days prior to departure, it's non-refundable. All non-refundable airfare and overseas operation cancellation fees will be added to the above. So if we cancel and the airlines charges another $200 for the cancellation, that's added to that fee. All cancellations must be submitted in writing and will take effect upon date of receipt by Journeys Unlimited, Inc. The way you do it is you let us know. We will sign that form and get it to Journeys right away. So don't send it to Journeys. Give it to us, and we'll get it right to them right away the same day. Please note the above penalties are per person. We recommend, in bold, we recommend trip cancellation insurance, which may grant full refund due to illness or unforeseen events. Notice the word may. Limitations may apply. Insurance applications may be obtained from group leader. Got them right here. So we can get these to you today. Or Journeys Unlimited. Please note that if insurance is taken out within 14 days, please note that if insurance is taken out within 14 days of initial deposit, the pre-existing condition clause may be waived. Allianz group coverage is available, but also individual policies from Travel X and Allianz. I can't say that word, Allianz? Allianz. Registrations received within 30 days of departure are subject to a $100 per person surcharge to offset last-minute communications between airlines, hotels, and land operators. Expenses incurred as a result of special delivery, overnight delivery services of tour documents or information of late registrants will be passed to tour members. Can you understand what it said there? You got that? Okay. Refund or exchange of unused arrangements. Unused hotel accommodations, meals, tours, flights, transportations, other services are not refundable or exchangeable for other accommodations, services, or features. I've never seen that before, so obviously something happened. They had to put that on there. I don't know what happened if they missed a meal one night because they got in late or something, and hey, do we get some money back for that meal we didn't have? It says, nope, nope. If we miss it, we miss it. 6 o'clock, Carolyn. Is it ring 6 times? Big smile.
It will every 15 minutes.
Nice, nice, nice. Itinerary charges, changes, itinerary changes. A $75 charge per person, plus any applicable fare tour differences per change will be assessed for those wishing to deviate from the prepared group itinerary. No changes can be accepted within 30 days of departure. Itinerary change fees are non-refundable. A $50 non-refundable research fee is required for anyone wishing to extend his or her trip beyond Israel. So what is that saying? Basically, we've had people do this in the past. I've seen it so many times. We're going to get hit with that. Pastor Anthony and Crystal aren't coming back with us. They're going from Israel to Greece, and then they've got their deal in Bulgaria like 6 days later. So to come all the way back here and fly all the way back there, that's not a good idea. So they're going to fall into underneath that, guys, right there. So they've got 5 days where they're going to have to figure out something, so it's going to cost them an extra $50 not to come back. But then, of course, they're not going to have to pay for that flight going back. But it's just the change they have to make for all that kind of stuff. So that's what that's talking about. The other itinerary change I see from time to time is someone say, we're in Israel, we've always wanted to go to Egypt. So we're going to go to Egypt. Instead of going to Greece, we're going to Egypt. Well, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, then there's going to be a cost because they've got to take care of all that and get that going, or pulling it out of the group price. Responsibility. Journeys Unlimited, its hosts or escorts and accepting booking for the tour clearly stipulates that they are not liable for the faults or defaults of other companies and persons that may be used in carrying out the tour services, nor they are not liable for accidents, baggage losses. They've got to put that in there because we're going to lose baggage. We do every trip. You're going to lose a suitcase for a couple of days. Just know that. Strikes, political unrest, riots, acts of war, or acts of God. So we cannot sue Journeys Unlimited for an act of God. In the event it becomes necessary or advisable to alter the itinerary or arrangement, such alterations may be made without penalty to the tour operator, hosts, or escorts. Additional expenses, if any, shall be borne by the passengers. The right is also reserved to withdraw this tour and decline to accept or retain any person or members of the tour. The airlines concerned are not to be held responsible for any acts, omissions, or events during the time passengers are not on board. So, yes, ma'am.
So what happens if COVID gets worse?
That's what we've got COVID insurance. That's the key. That's that $300 one. That's a whole separate entity. We don't have that one here, but we're going to get that at our next meeting, hopefully by the next meeting. Say what? Oh. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh. It's really small up there. There we go.
And we can't hear him.
I'm not talking yet. Adriana Holloway, we know her as Adine, says this. Not sure if you mentioned lost luggage insurance. Have you ever run into the issue of someone losing their luggage? Almost every time. Oh, question has been answered. Thank you. You're welcome. Crystal doesn't know she's going to Bulgaria. It's a secret. Oh, don't tell anybody that Crystal's going to Bulgaria. It's a secret. I didn't mention the other part of it. I didn't mention the other part because Pastor Anthony and I have been planning some stuff. I didn't mention it, so it's good. So you're not going to Bulgaria probably, Crystal. Forget about it. Okay. My bad. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Travel insurance. Ready? Here we go. You can kind of read through this. I want to read through it with you. And here is the baggage insurance. Nadine coming up on this one. Take a look. First page, travel insurance. Trip cancellation. Up to 100% of trip cost. Reimburses your prepaid non-refundable trip expenses if you must cancel your trip due to a covered reason. And the covered reasons, I believe they're going to be on the second page, but we'll take a quick look at that in a minute. Maximum insured trip cost, $25,000. We're way under that, so we're good to go on that one. Trip interruption, up to 150% of trip cost. Reimburses the unused non-refundable portion of your trip expenses and the increased transportation costs it takes you to continue your trip or return home if you need to interrupt your trip for a covered reason, up to $37,000. So this is where I get really sick and I've got to come back here because of a health issue. That insurance would pay for my new flight because I'm going to be paying top dollar on that new flight. That's going to be way more than we paid to get over there. And that covers that. Emergency medical and dental. This primary coverage provides reimbursement for expenses incurred during your trip due to covered medical and dental emergencies. Up to $750 for emergency dental care and up to $50,000 on medical care. So you don't get a whole new grill, but they'll fix that one tooth, you know. Emergency transportation provides medically necessary transportation to the nearest appropriate facility following a covered illness or injury. Also covers the cost of your transportation back home following a covered illness or injury. This was a beautiful thing to have right here. Travel delay. Reimburses up to $150 per day per person for additional travel and lost prepaid expenses if your trip is delayed for 5 or more hours for a covered reason. Can also reimburse additional transportation expenses if you miss your cruise or tour because of a covered delay. Baggage loss or damage. Covers loss, damage, or theft of baggage and personal effects. Have we had those? Oh, yes. The last trip, our suitcase was destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. It wasn't lost, it was just destroyed. And it got everything inside, made it, But that suitcase is a goner. Oftentimes we'll have suitcases missing for a day or two. In Israel, it happens probably 1 out of 3 times or so, where someone's suitcase won't be there, and this trip it will be you. So it's going to be your suitcase that's not going to show up. That's why on your carry-on, you put in your essentials in your carry-on, and one little outfit, for sure your swimsuit in your carry-on because we have a day off. So that helps us a lot. So if the suitcase is a day late, they'll find us. After that, we go up to the gala. We had one where a suitcase didn't come in for 4 days. And that was the first trip, if I remember right. And it was so sweet because it was a lady's suitcase. Of course it was a lady. A guy, who cares? He just wore the same clothes all the time, no big deal. But it was a lady. And it was so sweet because the people on the tour looked, hey Sandy, they looked at each, we got tons of stuff this time, a lot of handouts. So hey Miss Bourget, so they had all these, they got together with the gals who were the same size kind of, and they said, you can wear this, and then you can wear this, and you can wear this, and they just kind of exchanged it, and she had this cool wardrobe every day. And about the 4th day, they finally got her suitcase, and she had all her fresh clothes there. And it ended up, I want to say out in like Japan or something. I don't know what in the world. It was a long ways away. It was just way out there. But they got it, and they drive it from the airport, and they found us way up in the Galilee. So they will track us down and find us and get your suitcase to you. Now, when we come home, it's another story. You're on your own on that baby. So that'll be through American Airlines if it's missing from Greece, once you check it in Greece. So, but there's the baggage loss. Baggage delay. Reimburses the reasonable additional purchase of essential items during your trip if your baggage is delayed or misdirected by a common carrier for 12 hours or more. Receipts for emergency purchases are required. So if you have this, if you decide to get this insurance, you understand what it means. You can go out and don't go crazy, but you can buy the essentials. And then just keep your receipts and they'll reimburse you. Covered reasons, here we go, for trip cancellation and trip interruptions. I'm going to pronounce this place Allianz, okay? I don't know what it is. Global Assistance can pay trip cancellation and interruption claims when you cancel or interrupt your trip due to certain unforeseen situations. These situations are called covered reasons. For this plan, those covered reasons include, here's for the cancellation and interruption portion, okay? Any covered illness, injury, or death, legal proceedings, home uninhabitable. I would have been covered for that evidently, huh? Sweet. Traffic accidents, terrorism, military duty, supplier financial default. I don't understand that one. Destination uninhabitable, loss of accommodations, quarantine. Notice on that quarantine, if we go down to the dark black print, the bold print down below, it says benefits for quarantine due to an epidemic only apply when an eligible traveler is specifically named and individually ordered to quarantine, not including generally or broadly applicable quarantines. So it's where you tested positive, you, Monica, have got a quarantine, then it applies. So that's how that would work. But we all were exposed. We don't know if we got it or not. It doesn't count that way. Benefits may not cover the full cost of your quarantine and are subject to applicable benefit limits. See plan documents for details. Loss of quarantine, 24-hour delay by travel carrier. That is interesting. Yeah, that would mess us up bad if we have a 24-hour delay. That would be we're going to Dallas, and all of a sudden, or we're leaving Albuquerque, and they couldn't get us to Dallas for some reason, and we miss our flight over there, then they would. But 24 hours, that's not going to happen. We could drive over there for that shoot. Okay, cancellation only. Normal pregnancy, witness birth. So that's, if I guess your wife is going to have a baby, you want to be there for the baby. That's I guess that's what that would be. A legal separation or divorce, employer termination, and then interruption only, travel delay resulting in loss of 50% of trip length. Or hijacking. Well, that's good. You hijack those, that's good. I like that. That's good. Then we go down to covered reasons for epidemics. The following benefits now include epidemic-related illness as a covered reason. Trip cancellation, trip interruption, emergency medical, and emergency transportation. Denied boarding due to suspicion of illness is now a covered reason for travel delay benefits. That is essential, because that's that positive test at the airport. And here we've got some covering on that. Okay, our promise to you, you can read all that, the terms and conditions you can read. So this is something that is up to you to get. If you turn to the next page, purchasing your travel insurance is fast and easy. You see that at the bottom here. Contact Journeys Limited at those two numbers. And there you'll see the, whatever that stands for, the ACCAM number. And there it is. Exclusions. This is a named peril plan and contains exclusions. This means not every situation or event will be covered under your plan. A full list of exclusions is available in your plan documents. Exclusions may include, but are not limited to, pre-existing medical conditions, unless you qualify for a waiver of this exclusion, known and foreseeable events such as certain weather or political events, situations, mental or nervous health disorders, the use or abuse of drugs and alcohol, participation in extreme high-risk sports, pre-existing medical condition coverages exclusions. A pre-existing medical condition is an injury, illness, or medical condition that exhibited symptoms or was treated on or within 120 days prior to the purchase date of your plan. This plan waives the exclusion of pre-existing medical conditions if the following conditions are met. Your policy was purchased for or on or before final payment. You were a U.S. resident when the policy was purchased. You were medically able to travel when the policy was purchased. And on the policy purchase date, you insured the full non-refundable cost of your trip with us. This includes trip arrangements that will become non-refundable or subject to cancellation penalties between the policy purchase date and the departure date. Maximum coverage for pre-existing medical conditions is limited to the trip cancellation or trip interruption coverage limit, not to exceed $10,000. Please be advised. The plan contains insurance benefits, which may include disability and or health insurance benefits that only apply during the covered trip. This optional coverage may duplicate coverage already provided by your personal auto, home, renters, health care, personal liability, or other insurance policy or source of coverage, but may be subject to different restrictions. You should review the terms of this policy with your existing coverage. If you have any questions about your current coverage, call your insurance, health planner's insurance agent broker. This insurance is not required to purchase any other products or services, unless licensed travel retailers and their employees may provide general information about the insurance, including a description of coverage and price, but are not qualified or authorized to answer technical questions about terms, benefits, exclusions, conditions of the insurance, or evaluate the adequacy of existing coverage. Plans are intended for U.S. residents only and may not be available in all jurisdictions. Rental car protection is not available to New York and Texas residents. Good to know. Except when purchased as a separate policy, it is not available in all countries for all cars. This coverage does not provide liability insurance or comply with any financial responsibility law or any other law mandating motor vehicle coverage. Does not cover you for any injury to another party. No need to get into Texas, Maryland, or California residents. Those of you that are from there, I know we have some from Texas, or looks like they're going, and also from California. You are going. You can read that when you get this yourself. Whew. That was crazy right there. I don't care who you are. So, any questions on any of that? What's that? Anytime you want. The sooner the better. From what I look at this time, it sounded like you don't have to buy it right away. Since your satisfaction, was it 14 days? But there were certain restrictions. The closer you got to the end, either it's going to cost you more or there are certain restrictions. To me, if you're going to get it, just get it. If you're going to get it, get it. You can call them and get all your questions answered by the number that's on there. But in the past, I've had a few people get them. I've never strongly recommended it. This is the first time. It's around $300 is my understanding. So that was my understanding. It's about $300. I'm sorry? Per person, yes, definitely. So you'll call them and pay them. This is a separate thing that they're making it available, so there it is. You call and deal with that yourself. If you don't get it, that's fine. It's up to you. It's just however you feel on that. The one on the green. See on the bottom of the second page, there's a number down there. It's Journeys is who's you're calling. Got it? Okay. Call them and they'll direct you where you need to go after that, but I think you get it through them. If not, they'll get to where you need to be.
What about, getting their money exchanged in used dollars or our cell phones? How does it happen?
Great questions. Michelle asked about exchanging money to get into the shekels in Israel. Can we use dollars? The only dollars that will really work in Israel are the $1 bills. So, and I usually have like $50 and $1 bills, and I'll use those when I go up into the Galilee. They'll have little stands where they have a homemade grape jelly from the vineyard. It's like, whoa! And they'll take dollar bills for that. We want to get the money exchanged before we go a little bit, because we're landing, remember, on Shabbat. So it's going to be closed. You don't want to exchange money in the hotels. That's going to cost you more than you need to do. So what we'll do is we get closer, we'll find out who wants to exchange money. We'll do it here, and you will leave here with shekels in your pocket. And that works the best. The cell phones you asked?
I mean, for, like if you wanted to call internationally.
Check with your carrier on that. You have to check with your carrier. They'll have different programs. You can do it like for the month or 2 months, June and July. And depending who you have, I know Verizon will do that. I know, what's ours? T-Mobile. Yeah, I know T-Mobile has the same thing. Whoa, so some have higher rates. So you can call. It's just $10 a day. Okay. $10 a day, so if you're gone for 15 days, $150, and you got your phone.
Every carrier is different.
That's it. Yeah, check with your carrier. But good question. All right. Any other question? Oh, I got some more up here. Oh, there it is. We missed the costs for additional insurance. On the second page of that insurance form, there is a number to call. And there's two numbers actually. And if you call either one of those two numbers, then you will be able to, hey, Lachey, your picture's on. All right. With that, you'll be able to get the price and ask the questions and order the insurance, get all the details. I don't have all the details of this. If you have any specific questions, that's who you check with. Yes, sir.
So, Honduras, I know every country's different, but it's usually debit card. And it worked, and it
Yeah, the problem we're going to have, we do that over there too. The problem you're going to have with that guy is we are at the hotel. There might be an ATM there. And then we go out into the wilderness for 5 days. So that's kind of the tricky part because we're not in there. But Berger's got a great comment here. Yes, ma'am. Well, yeah, that's a problem. Life could be worse, right? We're shopping. So yeah, I'm a firm believer. We're not going to get into that yet, but I'm a firm believer in getting your shekels here before we leave. And I'll do that for you. I'll be glad to do that for you. It works so much better. Please let us do as much as we can for you to make this trip easy. I don't make money by going to the bank and getting the shekels for you. I don't make even a penny. I'm glad to do it. But we do it at Wells Fargo. They have one bank that does it, and that's our church bank. So there's no cost for us to do it. So it's like, woo! So I just come in and I'll say I need, $22,000 in shekels. And they'll say, when do you need that by? And I say, as soon as possible. I usually do it about 2 months in advance. And they usually have it for me that day. I say, oh, you have to order, it'll be back in 3 days. We get it, we put them in envelopes for you, your name on it, and there's your envelope with your shekels. There's your envelope with shekels. We have the exchange rate written on there so you can figure it out. Yes, ma'am? I love that question, Michelle. Michelle asked the question, how much money should we take? Man, I don't know. I buy very little now. Very little. For most of us, it's a once-in-a-lifetime time. And most of us don't have just money flowing out. Some of us do. Some of us that are there, money's not going to be an issue for some of the people there. And that's great. I mean, we're not here, we don't want anyone to feel, I don't want to buy that and make everyone else feel bad, but I love that piece, but it's, we used to go to a diamond cutting factory. I quit doing that. But in Santa Fe has a lot of wealthy people. And our tour had a lot of wealthy, and I mean wealthy people. So they wanted to go to the diamond factory when we were up at the kibbutz, so I'd take them over. And it's the most ridiculous, horrible feeling to go to this diamond cutting, and you see all these wedding rings and these beautiful diamonds, and my goodness gracious. And there's one over here, one of your tour guys says, baby, I want to get that for you. I love you so much. It's only $82,000. I want to get it for you. And it's like, I don't have $82,000 to buy it. No, I'm not getting that. No. And then we saw people with their credit cards taking out and spending like $4,000 that they can't afford because they wanted to show their wife that she loved. And don't do that kind of stuff. But we rejoice with the one that could buy an $80,000 diamond. Bless you, man. Let's see. I've never seen one. Can I see it? Whoa, look at that. It's okay. So if you have the money and you want to buy something like that, by all means, get it. Don't flaunt it, just get it. But if you don't, well then don't do that. So depending on, for most of us, man, that's such a tough call. The biggest thing is to get there and not have it. I should have brought it. Now, if you have it and you spend it, well, then you got to look at your own self on that. But if I would take, yes, Andy, I'll listen to you before I put my number out. So my question is, how does Brigitte know that those ATMs are in Hebrew? I'm just playing. But at any rate, what you want to do is, it depends what you're going there. If you say, I want to get a nice souvenir from Israel, or I want to get something for the grandkids from Israel. Well, there's all kinds of trinkety things you'll be able to buy. Or there are some places you can go and you can get a very nice keepsake piece. The range for some of the really nice places, when we go to Bethlehem, there's a store there where they have hand-carved pieces of olive wood. Yeah, of olive wood. Yeah, and there are some way nicer than that one. I mean, there are some really nice ones. She got a nice one. And those can range in price from $200 to $5,000. So, with that, you use a card. You wouldn't want to take $5,000 cash over there. Yes, sweetie.
Yeah, what my experience is when, especially with the younger crowd that we took over, some had as low as $200, $300, and, others had up to way more than that. But they had a blast on that amount of money. So it just depends on each person. So I know that we've drawn with people that with this little
Yeah, if you have $200 per person for just not souvenirs, just $200 that you're going to buy ice cream with, or you're going to buy your lunches with when we're in Jerusalem. And you're going to see the Coke over here you're going to want, and you're going to have the Coke over there you're going to want. And you'll be more than, you'll come home with money probably. But if you're going to buy souvenirs, that's a wide range. You know, it can be $3 souvenirs or $30 souvenirs, or it's up to you. So that's kind of where we're at on that. In the evening in Jerusalem, we will be going down to the Old City, and that's just fun. That's just fun. We'll go into the Muslim Quarter. It's my favorite place in all of Jerusalem for shopping, because they like to barter with you. And if you don't barter, they don't respect you. So you need to barter. Oh, it's expected, and if not, they lose respect. So you got to put on your bartering hat and have fun, smile a lot, laugh a lot, and that's part of the whole experience. It is nothing but fun. You will love it and enjoy. And a lot of times the quality is not the best necessarily, but it's okay. It's I had a really cool Coca-Cola shirt in Arabic that I bought down there, and I brought it home. They didn't tell me don't wash it. But, you know, it's one of those kind of deals. But it was okay. It was just fun. I had so much fun with them. I remember it now, 25 years later. I still remember the bartering process. So just barter with them. Have fun. Don't do that in the Israeli stores. They're not going to accept that. And they'll just give you a cold look like, what's wrong with you? But in Muslim quarter, it's expected, and it's fun. It's part of the experience. So you want to have a little bit of money there. Not a lot. It's not expensive stuff. It's just fun. So those are some of the little sidelights. Any other questions? Okay, so we've got a little bit of this. I think going forward, we know where we're at, and off we go. Bless you guys. Thanks for joining us, family. See you. Bye. Have a good one. Carolyn, see you tomorrow night, girl. See you tomorrow night. Okay.